I feel as if WWE, AEW, and all these wrestling companies are always teasing massive announcements. There's always something that's groundbreaking, always something that's, maybe it's a new era, maybe something big is going to happen. But we just got some incredibly huge news from WWE and AAA. Keep in mind, WWE acquired AAA. Now they have this Fox TV deal in Latin America. And, they got a lot going on. So it becomes a really interesting thought when they announce that Penta will be making a announcement that is surely going to shake up the company forever. Now, there was a backstage segment on the January 17th episode, AAA on Fox. Now, keep in mind, that's for like the Latin America audience. And then, of course, if you're watching it in like the United States or whatever, you could watch it live on YouTube. And it was actually revealed that on January 24th, the broadcast for AAA, Penta will be making a huge announcement. Now, Penta was supposed to be part of AAA for Guerra de Titanes, and then we all know that he got injured, and obviously WWE's bringing him in, and there's plans for him and Rey Fenix at some point. Nobody really knows what this announcement is. Some of the speculation is actually that maybe Penta could be announcing the United States television deal, which there had been rumors about for a while that maybe WWE will be getting a deal for AAA on Peacock or maybe even one of NBC's other television networks. There's a lot of speculation here, but nobody really knows what it's going to be. But if this is going to change AAA forever, if this is going to be a groundbreaking announcement, if this is going to be something huge, you have to wonder what it could be. And then you also have to kind of handle your expectations a little bit. And when I say handle your expectations, I don't know if you should lower your expectations or maybe increase your expectations. But one thing I do know that's for certain is that in professional wrestling, I am getting really tired of the teases for massive announcements. Like, I just want them to not tease it, not announce a big announcement is coming soon. I just want them to make the announcement and stun the world. And that's where I kind of find myself to be disappointed in professional wrestling in the past few years. Like, it doesn't matter what company it is. It doesn't matter who's the booker, the promoter. It doesn't matter who's the executive. I think it's just time that you start putting the announcements out. Now, for AAA, I'm actually very excited for. I don't know what it is about WWE acquiring AAA, but I have found a rebooted sense of appreciation for Lucha Libre. And I know the tribalism exists everywhere. People are going to talk about CMLL and AAA. But I think Lucha Libre is so cool. And I would love to see more fans from North America be exposed to what CMLL and AAA are doing. So if that meant, CMLL and AAA both having great distribution deals in America, that would be awesome. It would honestly be awesome. I would be very satisfied with that. At this point in time, we don't know, but I'm assuming it has something to do with that. Which, by the way, if you guys like professional wrestling news, I highly recommend you guys click that subscribe button and ring that bell. This way you never miss a video, because I'm always keeping you guys updated. But I think we should talk about AAA. I think we should talk about what AAA is doing these days, because it seems to be working. AAA, man, this company, the quality is great. The matches are great. The characters are fun. You got guys like El Grande Americano coming into AAA, going into Mexico, being completely over. You just have so much good that's coming out of it. And I think for the fans in Mexico, by the way, like, they obviously seem to be enjoying what they're getting from AAA Lucha Libre. But I think fans in America who see what WWE is doing, knows that WWE owns AAA, I think those fans have to find it and start watching it a little bit more. Because I don't know, is it convenient watching it on YouTube? Like, for me personally, I was watching it live on YouTube, right? I was okay with that. But how many people naturally think, let me go on YouTube to watch a live wrestling program? And then also you got to think, is it a lucrative deal? Is it one that makes a lot of sense? And I think those are very valid questions, because if you're WWE, you're all about TV rights, TV partners, advertising, subscriptions, things of that nature. I can't imagine the YouTube partner program being a great sense of monetization for WWE and AAA. So I have to assume that this announcement that they're making has something to do with that. And the reason why Penta probably could be the guy doing it, I think WWE understands Rey Mysterio, Penta, Rey Fenix. These are the guys who are very, very big deal to the Lucha Libre audience. And I could see WWE obviously not having Triple H come out there, obviously not having The Undertaker come out there, but I could see Penta coming out there, cutting a promo, dropping the news, things of that nature. And I'm okay with that. Obviously, with this deal that they have on Fox, shows are being taped, some shows are live. That's a very good thing. But you have to remember the Fox deal is specifically for the Latin America market. So obviously that could potentially change in the near future, where maybe they get another deal in America. Who knows? I don't know. I covered that story very closely, and it seems to be a very good television deal for pro wrestling fans in Mexico, and like for us here in America, obviously that doesn't cater to us at all. So it's just something to keep in mind, something to pay attention to, and then obviously we will see what changes. Speaking of AAA, I think we should probably talk about that massive return, because Santos Escobar went after El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr., who is currently the AAA Latin American champion. Now, Santos Escobar came back after 6 months of being away from WWE television. We saw what happened. Gone from the company. The headlines were being talked about. Santos Escobar is gone from the company. What happened? What is going on? He goes on Twitter. People are tweeting about it. Next thing you know, there's a new headline. Santos re-signs with WWE. In the last 6 months, there has been several outspoken fans. I'm telling you guys, I've seen it all. I don't believe WWE re-signed him. I don't think Santos, what happened to him? He's buried. They re-signed him for no reason. They just did it to keep him away from AEW. But then sure enough, January 17th, live on Fox, live on YouTube, Santos Escobar comes out. He confronts Dr. Wagner Jr., and next thing you know, he's unmasked himself. He's got some makeup on. I thought that was kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about the new look, but we'll see what they're doing with this presentation. I don't know. Clearly a heel character, but he attacks him. The crowd loves Santos Escobar. Santos Escobar is one of those guys I think everybody is very well aware of his skill. They know his history as a luchador. They're not dumb. So he comes back. And what's really cool, by the way, is when he comes back, the reaction's great. But then we start getting some reports and some things start coming out that Santos Escobar is expected to be a huge centerpiece to the AAA Lucha Libre show. So maybe he did return to WWE, and maybe there is no plan for him to be on the main roster. We don't know that at this time. But very clearly, they have some sort of plan for Santos Escobar. Now, on January 24th, when Penta makes this massive announcement, there are 3 championship matches that are taking place. Pagano and Psycho Clown are putting their tag team championship belts on the line. Laredo Kid is set to defend the AAA Cruiserweight World Championship. And El Hijo de Dr. Wagner Jr. is expected to defend the AAA Latin American Championship. Now, no opponents have been announced. Nobody knows what's going to happen here. But this show that they're doing on January 24th is expected to be a very, very big show. Now, keep in mind, January 24th is a Saturday. There's just a lot going on that night. I think WWE Saturday Night's Main Event is happening that night. I think UFC's return / debut to Paramount Plus is happening that night. There's a lot of things expected to be happening that night. Championship match is great. I'm excited for that immensely. But I think when I look at AAA and I look at what they're building over there, I would have Santos go for that belt right away. I would have him win that belt right away, especially if he's not going to be on the WWE main roster for a little bit. Let him run things in AAA because they have a very unique roster. They have a very over roster, and the contributions being made by the WWE roster as well. It's honestly been very fun to watch. So Santos Escobar re-signing with WWE, if he is supposed to be one of the centerpieces for this show, good on them. And good on Santos, because you can have Santos Escobar in AAA for the next 6 to 12 months. The WWE main roster is crowded, but maybe this is something where he really holds it down, really kills it, and simply just becomes undeniable. And once you become undeniable, Triple H and all these guys in WWE, you have no choice but to push somebody. And we have seen time and time and time again in professional wrestling, WWE will always, and it's not just WWE, every company will always have their favorites who they want to push. Now, you don't want Santos Escobar going to your competition. You don't want him to go to AEW or TNA. You don't want him to do any of that. You don't want to fathom the idea of him going to New Japan or CMLL. So you re-sign him, you make him a very, very big part of the AAA brand. And if he gets over extremely well over there, then you know what? You bring him into the main roster and push him. But I also have a very strong feeling, too, that Santos could be coming into the main roster while holding AAA gold as well. We see it with Dom Mysterio. We see it with Chelsea Green. Ethan Page, North American champion, feuding with a lot of guys from AAA, but also bringing the mixed tag team championship that he has with Chelsea Green. He brings that onto television. So the same thing could be applied to Santos Escobar too. And I like that. I think that's a fantastic way of utilizing these brands. He doesn't need to be on Raw every single week, but you put him on Raw, you're telling a story. Who knows what this announcement is with Penta, but maybe you tie some loose ends there. You can utilize this time that you have in so many different ways. I just can't see how you don't take advantage of it. As far as Santos Escobar and his new look, I'm definitely intrigued to see how they build on it in presentation. I don't know how influential WWE is when it comes to that aspect of things in AAA. But presentation and theme music and things of that nature are some of the most important qualities that a wrestler has. And so I'm curious to see how WWE maneuvers around that. Lucha Libre is a different audience than our audience here in America. So, you know, I think it's going to be interesting to see how important it is. Because, look, El Grande Americano comes out and people are just chanting Grande, Grande. Like, people are excited for him. Santos Escobar is a heel. It's a whole different scenario. Technically speaking, El Grande Americano is a heel, but when he's in Mexico, it's almost like a babyface. I don't get it. I cannot comprehend what they've done with him, because the whole evolution of El Grande Americano has been incredible. To the point where if his music was pretty shit, I don't think it even matters at this point. But for Santos Escobar, depending on this character that they're kind of teasing, whatever it may be, yeah, I think you got to have those production elements down. The Titantrons, the name, the graphics, the music, things of that nature. And there's a lot of people who may not even agree with me that those things are important, but Trick Williams has been on the main roster for 2-3 weeks and incredibly over. So I think you could thank his theme song and his aura. Just definitely something to consider. I want to switch gears entirely to AEW because there's been 3 signings that have been revealed for AEW. Now, the first one is Zeta Steel. And I just want to talk about this really quickly and get it out of the way because I have covered Zeta Steel leaving the WWE ID program, going to Ring of Honor, going to AEW. It has been officially confirmed she is All Elite. But there are 2 names that I think have been very interesting. And I want to give AEW props because what AEW is doing here is what WWE and TNA should be doing. Now, for those who don't know, MJF was recently at an indie wrestling event, which coincidentally enough, the WWE ID Women's Championship, I believe, was defended on the same card, which is crazy to even think about. But in this show, MJF had a championship match. He was defending the AEW World Championship against Alec Price, which, if you guys don't know who that is, highly recommend you guys just go on Google, go on Cage Match, go on YouTube, look it up. Lots of great matches. There's a lot of great things you could say about Alec Price. But basically, MJF reveals that Alec Price and Jordan Oliver are both being signed to AEW. Now, some people are looking at this like it's a huge mistake for Tony Khan. Why are you signing these people? It's too many people. And it's not like Tony Khan needs Ango to defend him, but I'm telling you guys, I look at TNA and I look at some of these signings and they're bringing in former WWE talent. And I see AEW in years past bring in former WWE talent. And WWE, they're bringing in guys from TNA or bringing in people from AEW. Maybe as of a few days ago, WWE is changing their recruiting methods to go after indie talent. But I feel like there's so many young up-and-comers in the indie wrestling scene. And really, more than anything, TNA should be the company to be like, you know what? We could go sign them, right? For some reason, they haven't necessarily done that. I'm not sure as to why. I don't really know too many details about TNA and their recruiting efforts and how they're going about signing talent. I really don't know. But AEW bringing in Jordan Oliver and Alec Price is such a great idea. Such a great idea. And the truth is, for AEW, the reason why it's such a great idea is because these guys, they could tag team it all up on AEW Dynamite and Collision here and there. But the thing is, you can use them on Ring of Honor. In the meantime, your main roster is bloated. Use them in Ring of Honor. And there's literally nothing wrong with that. But the reality is, I look at Jordan Oliver kind of like Nick Wayne in the sense that young kid, gaining a lot of experience, working the indies. And I think when I see Jordan Oliver get this contract and this opportunity to come to AEW, I look at it as like you are investing in potential future. Now, do not get it twisted, because I see this happening a lot in the IWC. You will tell me things that I have said and put them in quotes, and I've never said those things. So mark my words. I'm not sitting here saying that Alec Price and Jordan Oliver are future world champions. There are too many people ahead of them in line. But I also don't believe there has to be this pressure that every time a company signs somebody new, they should be a world champion. I do not believe that. It doesn't matter the company that it is. So I think AEW should use these guys, let them tag team, let them do what they want, whatever. But use them in Ring of Honor, let them go out there and have great matches. They're great wrestlers. The AEW fan base, if they're not familiar with them, once they see their work, they will be impressed. And let them naturally, organically get over. Then you can start putting them on Dynamite and Collision absolutely every week. But the reason why I like this signing is because I feel like this is what TNA is missing. More than any other company, quite frankly. Like, TNA is not going to be able to sign Mercedes Moné. They're not going to be able to sign the Will Ospreys. Those expensive free agents, they are not going to come to TNA because WWE or AEW will outbid TNA. But if I were TNA, I would be looking at some of these guys that work for GCW, that work for these smaller indies, and I would bring them in. Which, by the way, at TNA Genesis, we saw KJ Orso come into the company and compete for the International Championship. Now, you guys, if you don't know who KJ Orso is, then maybe you didn't watch AEW as much as you thought. Maybe you don't follow wrestling as much as you thought, but that's okay. That's why I'm here. I'm going to keep you guys informed. KJ Orso is formerly known as Fuego del Sol. He did a whole character shift, got rid of the mask, and he killed it in that Fatal 4-Way match. But if I were TNA, I would be making those calls. I want KJ Orso. I want Jordan Oliver. I want Alec Price. There's a lot of guys in the indie scene. You can give them an opportunity and let these people go out there and wrestle. When it comes to TNA's identity, man, you go after some of those indie guys and you give them a chance to be on AMC Network. That might be the biggest audience they've ever had in their life. It's a very big pro. So I admire Tony Khan going after these young indie talents. I think WWE should do it more often, especially when you look at NXT. I just don't see how they weren't doing that for a minute. And I would love to elaborate more on that, but in previous content in the past week, I have talked about WWE, the need to improve NXT's main event scene. WWE apparently is going after indie talent again. Great, that's fine. But WWE is investing in the future by training them. AEW is investing in the future by buying them. TNA, what are you doing? I think that's the question that we all kind of have. And it's not a knock towards TNA, but I just think we have a lack of understanding how they're recruiting talent or what their method is or what their strategy is. So I enjoy this. 3 quality signings for AEW. They're all young. They all have a bright future ahead of them. Zeta Steel is somebody to watch out for sure. Alec Price, as well as Jordan Oliver. I really believe it's going to be some awesome stuff. At the very least, you're going to get some great matches out of them. Now, I briefly spoke a little bit about TNA's recruiting efforts, and we all saw this past week when TNA debuted on AMC, we saw the new signing of Cora Jade, or we should say Elena Black, who was formerly known as Cora Jade in NXT. Now, today we got some details on her contract situation with TNA, and I thought this was interesting because it seems like maybe TNA could be changing their strategy a little bit. So she's officially in TNA, and according to, I believe this is PW Insider, but basically the report that came out, it was from Fightful. The report that came out was that Elena Black has signed a 1-year deal. She's scheduled and expected to be a full-on member of the TNA roster. She signed a 1-year deal contract that goes throughout the 2026 year. With that being said, there were no reported talks between Elena Black and other promotions before she made her decision for TNA. So this was obviously her big move. A lot of people thought when she got released by WWE, she would 100% be going to AEW. Some people forget, but Elena Black, before WWE, she was working GCW and she worked a little bit of AEW Dark. So when she came to WWE, they changed her character. And then when she showed up in TNA as Elena Black, it basically appears like a Cora Jade, very similar gimmick to her Cora Jade gimmick. It doesn't look like she's going back to her old gimmick that she had in GCW, but essentially she came out obviously with her old indie name. And a lot of people, I think, were kind of happy about this because Cora Jade is a very skilled wrestler. She's got great performance. Her history with NXT, she was very reliable talent. So I think people were pretty happy about this. But it kind of just goes back to what I was talking about with TNA. We don't really understand their recruiting efforts. We don't really understand their strategy here. They signed Daria Ray, formerly known as Sonya Deville. They signed Cora Jade, now known again as Elena Black. But what is TNA doing for the future? What are they looking at? But also, we're finding out that she got signed for a 1-year contract. And I think people forget this, and that's completely fine. But if you guys didn't know, most of the TNA contracts that are signed are usually per appearance deals. There are talent, obviously, that have 1 to maybe a 3-year deal. But for the most part, a lot of talent are typically signed for short-term contracts. And if it's not a short-term contract, it's a per appearance deal. There's Nick Nemeth before he signed for multiple years recently. Like he was on a handshake deal. So, and that's a good thing for TNA, obviously. For TNA, it's a way to build up your roster without a long-term commitment. But that is also detrimental too. And I've actually said several times for TNA, they need to change that. They need to go away from short contracts. They need to lock talent in for a year or two. We don't know what Elena Black's future looks like, but now, after watching TNA Genesis, she wants the Knockouts Championship. And I don't blame TNA if they put the belt on her. I think it would be a smart idea. Li Ying Li is doing an amazing job as champion, but if you want to switch it over, Elena Black is a great person to hold that belt. So maybe this 1-year contract turns into a scenario where maybe she re-signs with the company for multiple years. And that is a very big possibility as well. But I do find a fascination with how TNA recruits talent. And I don't want to see TNA get into the mix where they're just strictly signing WWE talent. I really don't. And the reason why I say that is because I just spoke about how talented Alec Price and Jordan Oliver are. Now imagine if they were given an opportunity in TNA versus AEW or in TNA instead of WWE. There is a very big issue with how AEW and WWE utilize talent. I don't care what anybody says. We can sit here and argue about it forever. But the reality is WWE and AEW do make the common mistake of signing too many people, the roster gets bloated, and then people can't get TV time. TNA has incredibly talented people, and they got to do a better job of utilizing them. Sinner and Saint are an incredible tag team. Why aren't we seeing them consistently on television? I would like to see that change in 2026. They have a lot of people that they may have not actually executed on. Jake something was a perfect example. So I like Cora Jade re-signing or returning to professional wrestling and then signing a contract with TNA. I like the fact that it's a 1-year contract. If she is healthy, she is going to be a great asset for this women's division. But at the same time, too, it's important that TNA figures it out so that way they don't miss out on other potential free agent signings. You know what I'm talking about. So, all in all, I'm excited about this. I think WWE and AEW and TNA are all somewhat impressing me this year, so I'm happy about that. But it's still early. It's still January 2026. So let's see how things finish. Ladies and gentlemen, if you guys want more videos like this, please do me a favor and click subscribe. We're on the hunt for 100,000 subscribers. Your support would be appreciated. And I'll see you guys next time.